Hi everyone, and welcome to another InfraView Spotlight series, InfraViewing. I am delighted to have Julie Bishop join us today, the CEO of IT Naturally. So IT Naturally work with UK, European and global companies, specialising in cloud and data center, desktop and service management, network security and cyber, and a lot more. But I'm sure Julie will give us a far better intro than that and give us some juicy insights throughout this particular podcast. I love the strap line that's all over your website, looking to change the face of MSP market by putting people and the planet first, not process and procedure. So on that note, welcome, Julie. How are you?
I am really good, really good. Isn't it a lovely day? Very nice day to be chatting to you, Tim.
Absolutely, yeah. No, look, I know you're super busy, so first of all, really appreciate your time. These things aren't always easy to, find time in the diary, but I think it's a great opportunity for you to talk about your business, shine some light on what's great in your world right now. So, I think we should probably just hear a little bit. Do you want to give us a quick overview of yourself and how you got into the industry?
So, I've been in the industry a very, 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 very long time, Tim, which means I'm very, 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 very old.
No, you're not.
So I've been in IT nearly 30 years now, so it is a long time.
Wow.
No, not 30, 40, or 39 years. I am getting on. But I got into it just because I'm fascinated by IT. I love what it does. I love the fact that it can change the world. And when I got into IT, there was no internet. World was so different. There were no mobile phones. Life was completely and utterly different. And I have been part of an industry that has changed the world in the last 40 years. And I feel very, very proud to have been part of this industry. It's been absolutely brilliant.
Brilliant. I love it, right? And this is why I love working in this market. We do change we can change the world, we can change the lives of those that specialize in this type of technology, right? And it's exciting. It's always changing. And I think it's a real opportunity to do something different and give back to an industry that, we all clearly love very much. And it takes me back really. I mean, I've been doing recruitment 18 years and, my first ever boss, he said when he first was looking at CVs, they had to fax them to customers. So, I've certainly seen a change now. We don't live without technology, and actually, we feel, it's great to be part of it. So cool. Okay. In terms of sort of the business, tell me, and the audience, tell me what your, I suppose, core focus is from a business perspective now.
So we look after people's IT and we make sure it just works. Our big dream is people in other companies don't have to talk about IT because you know what? It works. Somebody turns up, they've got a laptop. It already works for them. There's been some major change, but you know what? We've made the patch overnight. We've tested it. It works. So our whole thing is to support businesses so they can get on and do the important job that their business is doing, knowing that their IT just works, just is there and it works. That's our job. Now, clearly it doesn't just work. There's an enormous amount of work that my guys do to make sure that works.
Of course.
And we're constantly patching, upgrading, testing, securing, doing all of those kind of things. But that doesn't need to be visible to our customers. They just need to know that they're happy and everything's working for them. That's our job. If it doesn't work, I've got a team of amazing service desk agents. So 24/7, if it's broken, you can phone, you can speak to an actual live person, not a chatbot, a real live person, and they are there to understand and support you. So often in IT, you will have a problem that isn't actually it isn't a difficult technical problem. It's just you don't know how to do something. But the truth is, to you in that moment, if you're trying to get, a presentation ready on a Sunday afternoon and it has to go to the board on Monday morning, you need it to work. So whether it's an exciting technology problem, doesn't matter. Our guys are there to listen, to understand what your business problem is and work out how we can fix it for you. And we score all of our team on customer satisfaction. We're not interested if that call takes 2 minutes, 20 minutes, whatever. We're there to make sure that you've got what you need to make your business work. That's our job. That's what we do.
Brilliant. I love it. And look, what stood out there is fully support. Fully support your customers at every step of the way, no matter how big or small that problem may be, right? And I think that's really important, certainly in the MSP world, right? We are dealing with so many different customers of different sizes, different types of technology. And I think, if these customers feel supported and more importantly, are able to speak to people in tech and non-tech terms, because I think sometimes some companies are very focused on speaking to people about technology that live and breathe the technology. But actually, there's people, like I've said at the beginning of this podcast, right? If something goes wrong, I'm like sort of shouting, screaming, asking for someone to help, where actually I want it to be explained in a non-tech term, even though it's a technical problem. And I wrote down customer service, right? I think, that really stood out just in your opening line, that, you pride yourselves on providing that sort of first class service to your customers. And I love it. And that probably leads me on to my next question around what does the perfect client look like? Whether it be size, vertical, technology, for IT naturally.
So we offer a really enhanced service. So we work with larger clients. So we work with people who've got about 500 to 5,000 employees. People at either end of that, or they have a very complex IT estate and they need support. They might be in 50, 100 locations and quite complex security. So we work with people who've got quite sophisticated IT needs, really. And we work with people where IT is absolutely core to what they do. So our biggest client is an airline.
Okay.
And IT runs through everything they do, and everything has to work for a flight to get away on time. So if one of 15, 20 systems aren't working or the network's down, the flights won't leave on time. So we work with them to make sure that everything is working the entire time. Just this Sunday morning, one of their systems was down. It's a system that's hosted in Montreal. We don't manage the system, but the network wasn't coming across. So we have to work with them to get that back working as quickly as we possibly can. And it's great being part of something that makes a real difference to a company. So we want to support people and make a real difference. Another of our customers is a care provider. And what I had no idea about before we started working with them is how important printers are in the care industry. So we don't own a printer at IT Naturally. We're into carbon neutrality or whatever, no paper, no nothing. However, if you're caring for somebody and they need very quickly to go to hospital, you need to print out their notes and you have to send them off in the ambulance. So printers are very, very important in that particular industry. And then when they go down, when our guys support someone and their printer isn't working, we know that is vitally important to them. Even though you and I probably sit there going, printers? Who cares about printers? Exactly. The NHS cares about printers. So, yeah.
And I think it's important, isn't it, adapting to each client slightly differently. What are their needs? What are the issues? What are the problems? How are you going to overcome them? And actually, one problem for one business might be completely different for another. And that's why when we look at the overall relationship and the partnership at the very beginning stages, what do they actually want? But equally, what do they need to get to that, I suppose, optimum service, right? And I can imagine if something goes wrong with the airline, being a huge one, then if you guys aren't there to support, there's probably all sorts of problems, right?
It's really good fun. We really enjoy it. Yeah, but yes, I think the first year we were in operation, we had a P1 on Christmas Day, so few Christmas dinners ruined, but that's all right. We got it working. People flying on Christmas Day, so they have to get their planes off the ground.
Yeah, what is it? Something that you had to sort out? So one of your engineers was, letting the turkey go cold.
Several of them, but yes, yeah.
Right.
It was early in the morning, to be honest. I think it was about 6 o'clock in the morning, and we got it fixed by about 10, so it was okay. It wasn't. People managed to get their dinner in.
But do you know what? This is the world we live in, yeah? I mean, it's not like, just because it's Christmas or, someone's off, that support stops. It's an ongoing relationship that actually requires 24/7. And, you highlighted that at the beginning. If you're going to engage and, they're going to put their time and effort into becoming a partner with you, that's just an ongoing relationship that doesn't stop just because someone's away or it's Christmas or whatever. So, no, that's, that can come with its challenges, and, I think a lot of businesses over the years have had different types of challenges, from sort of growth to not finding the right staff to, perhaps pipeline not being as consistent as it was for many years before. What type of challenges have you had to sort of overcome as a business over the last couple of years?
So the biggest one that's happened in the last couple of years is we grew too quickly. So we've been delivering great service, but we sold and we grew 50% in a year, and it was far too much. And we put our team under a lot of pressure, and we weren't delivering the kind of service that we pride ourselves on.
Okay.
So we hit the pause button on sales. We absolutely stopped all sales activity, and we brought in a brilliant process guy, and we focused for 6 months purely on improving the way that we run our processes, developing the team. I'm so proud of the team, because a lot of times when you try to do process re-engineering, there's always somebody who says, oh, it won't work, this is the way I've always done it. Da-da. Absolutely not. Everybody accepted that we needed to change quickly, and they all came on the journey with us. And now we're back to sort of really industry leading quality measures, and we're now starting to actively grow again, knowing that we're growing on a really solid foundation.
I love that. And look, do you know what? It's really refreshing to hear, you know, because some people might turn around and say biggest challenge was, you know, I don't know, we weren't able to keep up with technology, or there was too much pipeline, or, you know, we didn't have enough staff. Where actually what you've identified is kind of a good problem to have, but something that could become a real issue later on down the line. Because again, we bring that back to service, quality, partnership, you know, that ongoing relationship. And you've sort of grown rapidly, which is on one side, fantastic. You know, we've grown 50%. It's awesome. Revenue figures, staff, we look great, but actually we now identified, well, are we slipping slightly from a customer service sort of ongoing relationship point of view? And to capture that and to then put that pause on their sales to make sure the quality is still there, I think is credible.
And it was down to our employees as much as anything. So we care massively about our employees, and we were realizing things were going a bit wrong. We did a mini sort of employee opinion survey and really listened to the guys, and we made a joint decision. Now we give our staff bonuses based on our profitability. Okay. So it was a real joint decision to put that pause, because do you know what? The bonuses won't be as big this year because we've stopped selling we've got a lot of long-term contracts. We're not having problems, Tim, but we put the pause on growth. Therefore, the bonuses won't be as high this year. But that was a joint decision we made with our employees, and it's been the right decision, massively the right decision for everybody.
Yeah, and so what, the internal team feel happier, more, you know, more supported, right? I think that's important.
Pride, you know, if you want to deliver an amazing service and you feel that that's slipping away a bit, you need to get that back, because you need to be able to sort of look yourself in the mirror in the morning and say, yeah, I did a great job. And if you don't feel that, that's not a great way to live, is it?
No. And I think, you know, for me, I live by that sort of self-satisfaction, right? You know, you want to look at what you've achieved, what you could have done differently, what do you need to do more of? But if we're not reflecting on, you know, again, the service that we offer or whatever, how can we improve, right? And I love the fact that you brought the team together, opposed to some companies will say, as a board, we decided to do this. Or, you know, as a leadership team, we decided to go, pause this, we're not doing this for this reason. Where actually, it looks like you've brought everyone together to go, this is what we're going to do and why, to bring that sort of collaborative decision, so then everyone moves forward in the right direction. I love it. And cool. What about the plans? What about the plans for the next few years then?
So it's now all about growth. We need to grow. Okay. So we've got one enormous customer, a few larger customers, but we need to have a wider customer base. So we need to grow on that. We've got no desire to diversify the services. We love the services we do. We get excited by security and networks and platforms and stuff. So we don't want to go into anything fancy and different. We love what we do. But what we do need to do is we need to introduce more automation. So we've done a lot of standardization last year. Now we want to automate a lot of that. And all the stuff that really isn't much fun for people, get the machines to do, so that people are adding the real value. And we're beginning to get a handle on what AI can deliver for us and our customers. But we, like everybody else, are right at the beginning of that journey. And anyone who tells you they're not.
It's lying.
Yeah. So, but you know what? I mean, just like the last nearly 40 years, it's really exciting time to be in our industry, isn't it? There's so much that's changing, so much that's going to give a better service to people. And it's brilliant.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's the topic of conversation right now. AI, automation, who's doing what with it, who's slightly more advanced. But I think everyone's having quite a few headaches with it.
Yeah.
Some businesses, for me, I think the businesses that have embraced the fact that it's not going anywhere, how are we going to utilize it internally to offer a better service to our customers? And then how are we going to introduce it to our customers
Yeah,
to
that's right.
complement the service that we offer to allow their business to run better, right? And like you said, the companies that are going, oh, yeah, we're ready, we're doing it, it's great, there's no issues, are probably telling fibs. I do think there are some companies that are embracing it internally right now, and they're seeing a big difference already how they communicate this with their customers.
So
You know, and
we're on that journey, Tim. So we've got the Microsoft Copilot, the internal Microsoft, and
perfect.
we're just say dipping our toe in the water, playing with it, laughing sometimes when it summarizes things, and you say, no, that's not what we meant. But it's good. But also another time when you want to say, I want to understand everything in my policies about, I don't know, absence reporting, you suddenly can find out maybe you're contradicting yourself somewhere. So it's really a great little tool, but we're at the beginning of the journey, definitely.
And so is everyone. Look, it's work in progress, right? I mean, we all know that LinkedIn, really powerful tool. 6 months ago, everyone started talking about Copilot. Suddenly it was the next big thing since God knows what, right? And the truth is, from a recruitment perspective, we were getting called up saying, we want Copilot people. I'm like, well, do you even know what that looks like right now? Yeah, we need people to come in and do design implementation of Copilot. I'm like, no, you don't. You need someone that comes from either a Microsoft or modern workplace background that has extensive M365 that wants to upskill and learn.
To go into it, yeah.
To go into it is exactly, and suddenly now there's not an everyday conversation around it, because I think unfortunately a lot of businesses will see the next big thing, they shout about being specialists in it, then they worry about actually hiring in it, where actually why don't you focus on becoming more knowledgeable and then hire what you actually need to orchestrate it, right?
Yeah, we're not talking data anymore. 3 years ago, 5 years ago, we all wanted data scientists.
No, exactly. No, totally. I mean, these are the type of trends that we see coming up all the time. And actually, that's where we kind of work with our customers to say, well, everyone's talking about it, but does it make sense for your company and your customers? If it doesn't, don't go for it. Work out what you can complement what's going well right now. Yeah. Okay. The question that I love asking, and you can sum it up in a few words or a paragraph, but what's your core USPs?
I suppose our core thing goes back to, we just want people to enjoy not talking about IT. We want them to get on and do their job.
Yeah.
However, to add to that, we're a B Corp, and I'm hoping most people listening to this podcast will know what a B Corp is, but it's a better corporation. It's a movement that's been going on for, I think, nearly 20 years now, but it's all about business making the world a better place. When we set the company up, we knew our values were really important. Right on day one, sitting at the kitchen table that's just behind me, when we set up our constitution, we give a proportion of our profits to charity. We only work with companies that share our values, and that has led to some really difficult decisions. We've turned down a number of companies that haven't shared our values. As I say before, we've never owned a printer. We've offset our carbon from day one.
Brilliant.
After doing all of that, we learned about B Corp. We didn't know about B Corp at the beginning, and it's aligned so well with us that we then became a B Corp. And quite unusually, we didn't have to do anything to become a B Corp. Most people have to make quite a number of changes, but we got loads more score without changing anything really. And the thing that we're really proud about is that we score very, very highly for what they call workers. I don't really like calling the team workers, but that's what B Corp calls them. But, it's about treating your people as your most valuable asset and really believing it, really, really believing it. So that's our core USP, I'd say.
I think that's so important, because I think values is key, right? It underpins the business, yeah? And we're the same here. When people come in here, our introduction is all about our values, which kind of on the wall behind me. But and I think it's important that everyone shares it. And like you said, you've turned down business. If they can't, share the same values, you work in the same way. The fact that you're now sort of everything sort of offset carbon, etc. And I think it's brilliant, and it's something that you're clearly passionate about, and it's an opportunity to make a real difference within a market that is busy. And actually, you guys are separating yourselves from most other companies that are potentially just, doing the norm, in the MSP world, offering another cloud and network security solution. And you guys have almost found that little niche. And I love that you said it's about people, because it's the people that make the companies, the people that make the technology, it's the people that make the culture, right? And, and that's where if they don't share those values, unfortunately, that culture won't be what you want it to be or how it is today, right?
We don't own code. We're not a SaaS company. We don't own hundreds of properties. We just have some brilliant people who deliver great service. That's all we are, is our people.
Absolutely. And how do you see things evolving, in the next sort of year or two? I appreciate we've touched on AI and automation, but from a technology or MSP perspective, how do you see the market evolving?
Well, there's clearly consolidation going on.
Yep.
I sort of laugh and joke that I must get between 2 and 5 offers to buy the company a week.
Right.
And I sometimes threaten to my staff that I'm going to sell and have a bit of a break. But there clearly is a lot of consolidation underway. It's beginning to come more and more from the States. So I think the costs have gone up dramatically in America, and they're looking actually at the UK now as a low cost centre, which is quite different for us. There's also a big pushback against offshoring to the cheapest location. So I think we're getting a lot of people who offshored to India or the Philippines or whatever, starting to say, hang on a minute, I don't want to do that. And as the whole world becomes more ethical, often I think IT can be companies' sort of dirty little secret. They sit there going, yeah. Oh, well, we've got these lovely comfy chairs and we got table football and we're all absolutely fabulous. Oh, by the way, I'm going to offshore my IT support to the cheapest location in the world. Don't care if those people are living on a minimum wage or can educate their children. Not interested. And I think that's changing. I think people are caring about the whole supply chain more. And I think IT MSPs, that's starting to come into our industry as well, where people are beginning to look at the whole chain of their MSP. So
that's brilliant. I love that as well. And it's so important because, the first thought is, well, if we can outsource that and it's cheaper, let's do it. But actually, before we do that, does it make sense? Is the quality of service going to be there? And how's it affecting the other end? Like you said, the whole supply chain. How are certain people being treated, working slightly less than what they should be earning, etc. Right?
Totally.
We need to take that into account if we're
Just
promoting it.
Exactly. You shouldn't buy chocolate that comes from a sustainable resource where people are paid the right thing. You shouldn't outsource your IT there either.
No, absolutely. I love what's standing out as well. It's for you, what I'm hearing at the moment is it's all about values, all about service, but that's all underpinned by the team that you've got, right? And the value and how you reward them. And I don't just mean money, but opportunity to get that self-satisfaction, to work on exciting projects, to make decisions. And I think that's so important in any working environment, right? Opinions count, solution-based business, and that's screaming on this on this podcast right now. So how do you build that productive, sort of, I don't want to use the word perfect culture because I don't think there is ever a perfect culture because we are dealing with humans and there's always going to be problems and issues. But how do you go about building that or maintaining it?
So it is about really treating everybody as someone that matters.
Okay.
So it starts with our recruitment policy. So we don't look at qualifications at all. We recruit on attitude and aptitude, and we recruit people from all sorts of backgrounds. So we recruit some senior tech people with a strong tech background, but we recruit probably half our people into the service desk, and most of them don't have any IT background at all. Because we don't look at attitude, because we don't look at qualifications, about half of the people we've recruited in the last 2 years weren't born in the UK.
Okay.
And the reason for that is not because we actively want people who aren't born in the UK, it's because we don't screen them out. Because, I think large corporates, they'll say, don't recognise that university, don't recognise that qualification. They screen them out. So we end up with a fantastic variety of people from all over the world. You should, honestly, when we do bring and share lunches, it is brilliant to have people from everywhere, get some fantastic food. Yeah, it's brilliant. And then we have this massive listening culture and a no blame. So our feeling is if something goes wrong, it'll be either somebody didn't know what they were meant to do because our instructions were wrong, or they haven't had the right training. It's always our fault if something goes wrong. Therefore, people feel safe coming to us and say, I think I might have done X, Y, Z. And it's like, right, yeah, we'll fix it all together. We'll fix it as a team. That's no problem. But once we fixed it, then we might have to change our training. We might have to change our documentation, whatever, so that it doesn't happen again. And if somebody makes the same mistake 3 times, we wouldn't be quite so happy. But in reality, it's just about, trusting in people, believing that people want to do a good job, and then giving them the skills and tools to be able to do that. And having fun. I mean, one of our values is playful, Tim. And we had one horrendous. There was a Microsoft outage in Germany, over all of Germany.
Okay.
One of our customers was massively impacted by that. And we were on these calls every weekend. And we got from the CIO of our customer, he said, well, I know everybody did what they had to do, but actually it's been quite fun being on this call, which, we didn't want the call. We don't want a call when you don't want a Microsoft outage. But when you've done what you can do, then you might as well enjoy yourselves.
Definitely. So, I love it. And look, I was writing down there, personality character is key. I'm a big believer of, skills and experience can be taught and gained in the right environment, but you've got to have the right personality, the right character, someone that can come in that wants to learn, develop, and be part of a company that will support on that journey, which you guys clearly do. That open playing field, listening, no blame culture. I mean, that's what it's all about, isn't it? I mean, people need to realize that actually you're going to get a far better environment, work rate, people that enjoy and have fun more when they feel that if they do make a mistake, they can just address it there and then without thinking, God, I'm going to be in trouble, or actually I shouldn't bring it up, or I've done it again. I really love that.
Totally. You don't ever want anyone going home and having a sleepless night because they're worried about something, do you? It's just madness.
No. Yeah. I mean, look, I'm a big believer of sort of opinions count, sort of givers gain environment. That's what, when I set up a business 8 years ago, one thing that I was determined on doing is being a solution-based company where, again, like you said, I love that. No blame culture, opinions count, freedom of speech, bring something to the table. And more importantly, when you do, it'll be listened to, because I think equally there's a lot of environments and companies that will say, if you've got a problem, got an issue, speak up. But that's only one part of it. If it's not listened to, it's kind of pointless then even mentioning it in the first place, right? And they staff need to feel listened to. They need to feel part of. It may be, like you said, that if it's happening a couple of times over, perhaps things need to change slightly. We need to reintroduce a little bit more training.
That hasn't ever happened. But I mean, we do lots of things to listen to our staff. So we have an employee forum. So once a month, anything that we want to look at or we want to change goes to the employee forum, and they agree. So for instance, when we set up, we put in standard terms and conditions for sickness because we just had to have a policy of some sort, but we knew that wasn't good enough. We knew we had to improve it. So we did a lot of work on it, and then we worked with our employee forum on what was right for us as a company the size that we are today. We're 50 people now. So we agreed that with them. The same when we did maternity and paternity and stuff. Or when we moved office, we had people from the employee forum on the group deciding where we were going to rent our next offices, etc. So we very much value those guys, and they are very influential in what we do. And we would never make a change that would impact people without it going to the employee forum.
Brilliant. I love that. Employee forum, an opportunity again to have an opinion that gets listened to, whereby we can make a decision together, opposed to just sitting at board. This is how it is. Either like it or lump it. And Yeah, it's just everything that's screaming out right now is sort of just, culture, people, opportunity, no blame culture, freedom. I love that. And cool. Okay, look, there are some fantastic insights there about the business, staff, how you treat people, the service, how you put people and customers before everything. What about bringing it back to you, Julie, just in
Yeah.
terms of bringing it back to you, Julie? I'm sure there's many, but what's your biggest success or career success to date, if you were to pick one?
So a few years ago, I was the deputy CIO at Etihad Airways.
Okay.
And this was, I don't think they'd even signed with Man City at that time. They definitely were with them by the time I left. And Etihad Airways were growing 30% a year. And they had, and they were also taking stakes in other airlines. And they had IT fit for a very small airline. And they were becoming up to, by the time I left, $1 billion turnover airline. So massive. And this was a really new challenge for me. So I'd worked in the UK until I worked in Abu Dhabi. And my constraint had always been money, and everything was about payback and keep your costs down and control and whatever. And then suddenly, money wasn't an issue. And I'd always thought, money's not an issue, life's going to be easy.
Yeah.
No, it isn't. No, it isn't. It really isn't. So now time was the constraint. We need a new engineering system and we need it in 6 months. And I'm thinking, that's a 3-year project. No, we need it in 6 months. We need a revenue accounting system. I think that was 2 months. It was just crazy what we were doing. And we had to take very sensible business risks. So analysis paralysis, not a chance. We just had to understand roughly what we wanted, put it in, and then get it to work. Very different. I'd spent the last 15 years at BA where it was very much absolutely on control. And, if you're 5% above your costs, nothing like that. It was completely utterly different. I had to build a new team. And my team came from, 30 or 40 different nationalities, a few hundred people, trying to get them all working together. It was absolutely fantastic. So we had to take lots of, business risks. We never, ever, ever took a safety risk. Safety was absolutely paramount. Of course, it was an airline. So we built the team and we pretty well replaced all of their systems in 4 years. And we had to build, we didn't even have a portfolio management process. So I had to build a portfolio team, and it was crazy. In 4 years, I practically had no time off work, evenings, weekends, the lot. It was really, really exciting. I really loved it. And one of the things that we did that was amazing is they bought A380s and Boeing 787s.
Yep.
And A380s are just big. So you have to have different systems for boarding people or for selling and stuff because they're just outside the limit of the other systems. But the 787 was the first of the basic flying computers, and the way that you share data to and from a 787 completely different from the other aircraft we had in the fleet. It's becoming normal now, but it was very different then. And there was lots of thought that IT would be the thing that slowed the project down, and it's like, we're going to fly these planes on this day, and IT was sort of like throwing you the challenge. IT, you have to deliver on time. We were ready on time. Sadly, the seat project, to have the seats approved by the safety things, they were late. But we were ready on time. So I think that what we did at Etihad is one of the proudest things I ever had, building up a team and delivering so much so quickly under so much pressure. It was really exciting. I grew so much during that time in my knowledge and my experience, and it was brilliant, absolutely brilliant.
Sounds awesome. I mean, what an achievement, and to do that in that period of time is exceptional. Got to ask the question, would you do it again if you had the chance?
Not now. So
Okay.
I sounds a little bit heartless, but we brought up our family, and as our youngest child went to university, that's when we went over to the Middle East.
Okay.
And then from there I moved over and I went to work for Cathay, so I went further east. But now I've come back here, and My daughter has just given me a beautiful granddaughter. I'm not going anywhere now.
Congratulations. No, of course you're not. No, well, the idea of doing what you've done there over that full period of time, no sleep, not time to eat, late nights, etc., is probably not worth
bad,
it.
But yeah, yeah, wasn't that bad.
No, I love that. What an achievement. And how do you... A question I always ask people in terms of tech, well, look, we all work in a tech space, right? We live and breathe technology, even if we don't want to at times, right? How do you or IT naturally handle the change or the ever-changing demands of technology?
So that's brilliant, isn't it? So our lives are refreshed the whole time. What we do is different, and what we do this year is different to what we did last year, and we're so lucky to be in that kind of world. Imagine doing the same job day in, day out. It's brilliant what we do. Some of the things that they claim are this big new thing are just a rehash of what we did 20, 30 years ago. So the biggest one for me is when SaaS came in. SaaS is this big new thing, software as a service. No, it's not. We had shared reservation systems for airlines. I mean, I think it started in the 80s, you know, so some stuff is just a new name for an old thing. Cloud's a little bit like that, isn't it? Cloud's a little bit. It's not. It's a data center, for heaven's sake. What is different about cloud? It's the model that you pay that's different. And maybe, it's a bit more than that. But one of the things I love about the changing demands of tech is no one is an IT expert. Nobody knows everything about IT. No. Some people know some things really deeply. Some people know a lot of stuff wider. Some people like me, I think, know less and less as time goes on. But we're all learners. We're all beginners on IT. And isn't that a great place to be with all our colleagues? That we're all learning. We all don't know a thing, really.
Well, look, this is the message, right? You know, if you are interested in learning and, you know, you're one of them people that remain teachable, then IT is perfect, right? Because it's always changing. There's always a new version. There's always a new particular demand. And yeah, I love what you said. Actually, there's a lot of stuff that they're sort of now re-engineering, you know, or reselling as a new product, new service. But actually, it's just the latest version of what we were using many years ago. We're just wrapping it up slightly different. And of course, it does new things and allows us to do less of what we call the grunt work. And we've got automation now to try and remove some of that. But I personally don't want any AI automation tools to stop me from having human interaction.
Absolutely.
Right? You know, this is what is key. I don't care if you're, you know, working, you know, in leisure and entertainment or recruitment or IT. The fact of the matter is, you know, if we're utilizing the new tools and the latest cutting edge technology to get us quicker and have more meaningful, empowering face-to-face conversations, I'm all for it. If it stops that, I'm against it, because I just right now can't see how we can replace what we're doing now. Yes, I mean, we're on Teams, we're not even face-to-face. Our ideal is always to be face-to-face, but, you know, Teams serves that purpose, to still interact, to still look at each other, to still, you know, for me to wave my hands like I am right now and be normal, right? If that's even normal. But, you know, I think the moment we start hiding behind things, it was kind of like, dare I mention COVID, right? You know, we were suddenly stripped of all human contact or interaction, and it was a nightmare. You know, people didn't know what to do. But then we quickly embraced change and looked at other tools that will allow us to at least get to some form of face-to-face, albeit video, right?
Can we never do those quizzes again, though?
No. I'm allergic to quizzes because my general knowledge is rubbish, and I have a running joke with my family and my wife, and yeah, whenever there's quiz night, I'm just a bit like in the background. But I think I'm that guy that used to be at school, even if I knew the question, I was too scared to put my hand up, right, just in case I got it terribly wrong and everyone laughed at me. So yeah, that sort of fear has gone on for many years. So it was horrible for me because it was like everyone started going, oh, we do online quizzes. I'm like, okay, if everyone wants to do it, but I'll be the guy that reads the questions. That was my only way of getting out of it. No, that's cool. Okay, so look, I mean, I think you mentioned at the beginning, you know, so I think you said 39 years in IT. You know, you've moved from end user to the MSP world. You've had some fantastic achievements. You know, if you were to give sort of one piece of advice, you know, to someone looking to get into technology and specifically within the MSP world, what would that be?
So can I be horrifically sexist here, Tim?
You can be whatever you like. It's only the whole world's going to see it.
So basically have fun coming into tech. And if you're a woman, you've got to be really clear that the boys can't have all the fun. We've got to share it with them. We've got to be in there too. There's nothing stopping you. There's roles in MSPs for all kinds of people. There are roles for people who are amazing with people and really empathetic. There are roles for people, we've got them. I think every MSP has them. Roles for people that are very neurodiverse, that like to be in the background, but they focus and they really fix and they do some fantastic stuff there. There are roles for people that are brilliant at numbers. There are roles for people that are brilliant at HR. There are roles for people that can look at projects and can have that bigger view. There are roles for everybody in an MSP. So please, 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 if you're a girl, don't think I can't go into a tech company, because some of our highest performers, don't tell the boys, are the girls or the women. I get getting told off for calling it women. I think it's an old person thing. And actually in our company, on average, the women are paid more than the men, because we've got more women in leadership roles.
100%.
So that's my big advice, is don't think you can't do it. Don't think it's not for you. There's so many roles. Service manager, you don't have to be the most technical in the world. You need to understand a bit about it. You need to be able to talk to the techie guys and translate it. But you don't need to be the person that is the deeply. But if you are somebody who really loves that focus and that, and you want to manage firewall rules all day, or you want to, there's a job for you too. So yeah,
I love it.
It's brilliant.
I love it. And do you know what stood out there is look, every role counts the same to make that end goal happen, right? And it is a topic that comes up all the time. And every client I speak to, they do say, we're top heavy male, and we'd love to get more females into the team and things like that. And again, we can't be ageist, sexist, prejudiced. We can't just target women or just target men, and not we would ever do that. But people do like a balance. If they're top heavy male, they do want to get more females into the team to make a balance and all that kind of stuff. But what I see personally, because I get often asked this question, in terms of where do you see the split between male and female in, if you like, the full project life cycle, from I don't know, managed service support to professional service engineers, consultants, pre-sales, up to project program management, right? So I love what you said. My point is, I think if you are interested in getting into IT, male or female, just jump into it. If you want to learn, develop, have an amazing, exciting career where, you just constantly be challenged, then it's for you. But equally, if you don't see a huge amount of women in there, don't let that stop you from pursuing a career in the MSP world. Because like you've just said, there are so many opportunities. We see the kind of gap where people go first, second, third line, and then they go either sort of team lead, service desk, and then they go to project management, and then they become leaders and MDs and CEOs, right? And then if they go, we're seeing the males go from sort of second, third line into professional services, engineering, consultancy, tech architecture, pre-sales. And it's like, why? Are we now fearful? Are women thinking, well, that is my route? Where actually, no, it doesn't have to be left or right. It's whatever you feel you're most excited about, right?
Yeah. I always feel that the strongest team you have is the most diverse team. Diverse age, gender, background, educational background is one we rarely talk about, but actually you want a wide range there. Obviously ability or disability, etc. You just want, the strongest team has got the most variety of backgrounds in there, and that's what we're trying to push to get to.
Definitely. Brilliant. And then in terms of, we're talking about the MSP world, and who do you admire most in the MSP solution provider space?
So I'm going to cheat and say I'm not going to go down that question. I'm sorry.
Cool.
I'm going to say somebody that has really inspired me in running my business is James Timpson from Timpson Shoes.
Okay.
And
love it.
He's got a big business now, and his big thing is everybody is equal, and if people are happy, they deliver more. And so he's really given me a lot of confidence to run a business on my core values. But what he also says is, but you are a business. And if somebody isn't performing, work with them, support them, do what you can. But if you can't get them to support, they're not part of your business. You can't get them to work, they're not part of your business. And that's quite a hard message when you want everyone to be happy and everyone to be succeeding. but actually there are some that won't make it. And I found that quite helpful. But he's a real hero to me, James Simpson.
I love it. No, and it's really important because people do need to feel supported, but then equally, I do think it's a two-way thing, right? You know, it can't be, well, we're going to give you all the training, development, support, but then you're not going to, if they don't give anything back, then unfortunately you do get to that crossroad where it's a bit, it's not going to work. But yeah, no, I love that. Cool. Well, listen, we are coming nearly to the end. There has been some fantastic insights across there, and I will finish off and summarize. But you know, let's get to do you know what, some fun, quick fire questions. Okay. Okay. Right. 3 people you'd most like to invite to dinner. Dead or alive?
So I'm going to break the rules again. I think you're a rule breaker.
Yeah,
so
love it.
Can I invite 4, please?
Oh, you can invite 6 if you want, but yeah, start with 4.
So the 4 would be my grandparents.
Okay.
So my paternal grandfather died before I was even born.
Okay.
He was in World War I, and he was in lots of the well-known battles in Ypres, Somme. He lost all of his cohort, all of his friends and brothers, and you know, he lost so much. And when he came back from the war, he was a very, very, very different person. And I would love to have got to know him and stuff. And then my grandmother, his wife, was incredible. Okay, so by the time I knew her, she was a little old lady.
Yeah.
And she lived in sheltered accommodation at the end. And she was such a fantastic person that every time we went to visit, she already had people in there. There was always someone around at her place. And because she was interested in everybody and cared about everybody and showed it, it would be her, I don't know, her cleaner's granddaughter would be in visiting her. All sorts of random people from different parts of her life because she was just such a buoyant, great person to spend time around. So I'd love to know her more as an adult, with me as an adult. And then my maternal grandfather was a doctor, so mainly a GP, though he did do some other work as well. And he was quite a serious person.
Okay.
And I'd like to understand him better because he died when I was a teenager. And then my grandmother, his wife, was fascinating. So I'm pretty sure that had she been born in a different time, she'd have been running her own company. She'd have been the boss of something. She was an amazing woman. And yet she had this job, which was called doctor's wife. And it was a job when she did it. You know, she had to visit the people and do various things. And she was very frustrated. She once said to me when she was in hospital, when she was dying, and I'd just moved to London, and she was saying, as doors are opening for you, I can feel all the doors closing down on my life. And it was quite a poignant thing for her to say. But my 4 grandparents, even though they were quite different, they lived on neighbouring farms and they were really close to each other.
Yeah.
And particularly the women really supported each other when their men went away to the Second World War. And I would love to see them all together, to see them enjoying each other's company.
Definitely.
And try and get to know them as an adult, because I know so little about them. So yeah, that would be my dream dinner party, would be with my grandparents.
Oh God, I mean, yeah, really emotional, heartfelt sort of answer there. So yeah, I'm sure that would be lovely. Cool. Okay, Microsoft or Apple?
Oh, so I'm gonna. I'm so wrong on this question. So I know I should say Microsoft. My company supports loads of M365, thousands and thousands of Windows devices. We look after multiple complex tenants. We can tenant migrate. We do all this sort of stuff. But I love Apple.
Listen, everyone loves the box it comes in. This is why we buy them, because of everything. Then you take it out, you just get.
You can't stroke a Microsoft, can you?
No,
you can stroke an Apple.
Exactly. And the majority of people will say exactly the same. Right? Okay, football or rugby?
Ooh, growing up, always rugby, but my current family only watch football. I mean, to be honest, neither really.
Tennis, brilliant. Well, look, absolutely. So I'm exactly the same on the rugby football front. Grew up rugby from the age of 7, but now I'm football mad. Even though it's the wrong shaped ball for me personally, I can't play. But yeah, my family and both my boys are football. Degree or apprenticeship?
Oh, apprenticeship all the way.
Love it. Wicked.
Yeah, totally. So I hate these kids getting into massive debt and having to pay it off. And yeah, so we support a lot of apprenticeships through our work, though actually we're supporting someone doing an apprenticeship as a master's. So I don't think it's one or the other. I think you can do degrees, and we're just about to probably put 2 guys through degree apprenticeships. So I think you can do both, but on the job, definitely.
Cool. And then one thing, whether it be a personal passion or a hobby, most wouldn't know about you.
Ooh. I'm a street pastor. So I'm a Christian, and I go out at night on a Friday or a Saturday night around the nightclubs and streets of Kingston.
Yeah.
Supporting people who are homeless or youngsters that are a little bit drunk and can't find their way home. So we're just out there every week on a Friday and mainly Saturdays, and trying to keep it safe out there. So that's something I do that's different.
That's amazing, and more people should know about that. It should definitely not be something people don't know. But yeah, that's absolutely amazing. I too do a lot of work with people that suffer from sort of mental health and anxiety and depression and addiction. So yeah, something quite close to me in terms of, well, similar to what you do.
Homeless. The overlap between people who are homeless and people that have got mental health issues is very high. Yeah,
absolutely. And we are in that. Yeah, cool. Okay, favorite technology over the last 10 years or 20 years?
I think Wi-Fi. I think the fact you're not wired up anymore. It's brilliant, and I love the fact that every device gets you to the same place. So whether you've got an iPad, Windows device, even if you had one, phone, whatever, you're still looking at the same information through the internet.
Cool. Best thing about working in the channel, in one sentence?
People I work with.
Love it. Brilliant. And then a motto that you live by. So top advice that you would give someone, or a motto that you personally live by.
If you've got a hard decision to make, ask yourself when you look in the mirror, which is the decision you should make.
Love it. Love it. Okay, finish off by one thing you would, if you had known before you got into your career, what you have done differently?
Honestly, I can't think of anything. I've just been so lucky, Tim. It's been such a brilliant career. So yeah, I can't think of anything.
No.
Once I interviewed somebody when I was at Etihad, and we were under massive pressure, and at Etihad, for whatever the reason, you could only recruit people that had a degree. And this poor girl had flown in for this interview, and within the first 10 seconds, I realised she didn't have a degree, and I just almost blanked her. And I feel so ashamed of that. And sadly, I go to Cathay Pacific, and she's one of my colleagues, and I just blanked her. Yeah, and she was doing an MBA, because she said, you know what made me think I have to do an MBA, but I felt very ashamed of the fact that I didn't treat her properly. Yeah.
Well, at least you've recognised it, and that comes to the end of this particular podcast. Julie, I have to say, you've been absolutely amazing. Look, some fantastic insights. I mean, really refreshing to your passion, excitement, the care and quality for not just your customers, but equally important, if not more, for your staff. I mean, that oozed, support, values, opportunity. And so what I'd like to, first of all, again, say thanks so much for joining this spotlight. I hope everyone out there has enjoyed such amazing insights as much as I have. I wish you and all the team at IT Naturally continued success. If anyone out there would like to join the Spotlight channel InfraViewing series, please feel free to reach out to me direct. Or if you've got anything you'd like to ask, please like, comment, subscribe, and reach out to me or Julie direct to find out a little bit more. But once again, Julie, you've been absolutely amazing. Thank you so much. It's been brilliant.
Really enjoyed it. I've really enjoyed talking to you. Thank you so much for inviting me. It was really kind of you.